Welcome back.
Today, we're going to be talking about how to create great cosplay images. Let's get into it. So, to create great images, I'm going to break it down into three main steps. The first thing, if you're a photographer and you want to create great cosplay images, you want to make sure the model is comfortable.
This can be easier if you're working with a model that you already know.
But if it's a new model, you want to make sure that they feel comfy because you can see the stiffness
In the way that they will be posing, typically, unless they're an experienced model.
if you do not make them feel comfortable. You can also see that there's going to be a change in how they pose and what
They're
they're
willing to try out if they feel comfortable with you or not.
So some ways that you're able to make the model feel comfortable is talking with them.
About their hobby of cosplaying. How long have you been cosplaying? What's your favorite cosplay? Is this your only
Only cosplay. What has been the hardest cosplay you had to make? What materials did you use? How long did it take? What is a funny story about?
cosplaying, or what made you decide to go into cosplaying?
And so as you ask these different questions and you start to have a dialogue and build that rapport with the model, you're able to start breaking down that barrier of their nervousness.
You can start off with some easy poses and having them stand and kind of just chill back and relax, and you're taking photos. And if you have
Some good lighting already set up, you can show them those photos and they may already start feeling like, oh, okay, I chose the right photographer, right? Even if you just do like a headshot level, or even if you get down to the details, you can say, wow, I love the way that this color looks on your armor. I love the wig that you have, and it is excellently made. The materials are shining so awesomely in the photo. So take advantage of complimenting your model and letting them know that the images will turn out well because you're going to put in the time, and as an expert, as a photographer, you will ensure that the images will
will turn out well, right? So once the model feels comfortable, the second
thing that you want to do is make sure that you have a good background.
and I'm also combine this with good lighting.
So you don't want a background that is too noisy. You don't want a background that people are walking in that's going to be a problem for you if you're trying to take a cosplay photo, especially if you're
At a convention, it may be easier if it's a private session that's outside of a convention or you're going off-site somewhere. But if you're trying to take photos at a convention,
you want to make sure that the background will enhance your model and the photo and not take away from it. So watch for distracting lighting, watch for too much movement, watch for if you have to have people in the background or you have no choice in that, watch for the colors of their shirts and outfits.
because people are cosplaying so many different things that have these bright colors or these large props, it can easily cause and be a distraction if everybody's looking in the background going, what is that over there, instead of what your main focus is of the image.
And then going along with the lighting, you want to make sure that you have your white balance calibrated correctly. You want to make sure that the person is able to be seen unless you're trying to go a certain creative direction. If a cosplay has a certain affinity for darkness, for example, you may want to shoot that a little underexposed. I do recommend using manual settings for shooting cosplay photography unless you're going to do a quick run and gun and you know you're going to be working with so many models that you're not going to have time to really sit and calibrate your settings. But I always shoot in manual mode just because a lot of times there's a certain exposure that I want to get and a certain setting that I want to look for. And unless I'm working with a paid client that wants to enhance a certain image, like for example, if a character is a speedster kind of character, the character, if they're going to be moving fast, then I'll slow down the shutter speed to enhance the speed that this person may have. But otherwise, I'm just shooting at a normal, maybe 125th or 250th, depending on the look that I'm trying to get or where I'm at or where my ISO and f-stop is. Next, I want to talk about, for the third and final tip, is the editing piece. Determine what your goal is for editing. Are you editing to capture the moment, or are you editing to enhance the image? If you're editing to capture the moment, then typically you may just want to take out some distractions that may not enhance that picture. And so you may take a photo in front of a crowd. You may then just kind of use the eraser tool to get people out. But if you're editing to enhance, that means that you may do a certain amount of retouching that may be outside of what is realistic. So for example, if a character, let's say Dragon Ball Z, if you have a Goku or a Vegeta that is powering up, you may put in the little aura key marks, right? You may Photoshop that in. You may add some veins, or you may add different types of flares. Like you may put Shinron all the way in the back, right? In the background, all the way in the sky or something. You can edit to enhance your photo, but you want to be clear when you're talking with your cosplayer on what your intentions are when it comes to editing. Because, for example, if you say, hey, I'm shooting a Boa Hancock from One Piece. She's super skinny, as is a lot of the women in One Piece. And you may say, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to make sure that they're just as skinny as they are in the manga or the anime. The cosplayer may not appreciate that. And the cosplayer may be unhappy, or that may cause some division depending on those type of modifications that you may make. The cosplayer may have certain conditions on their skin or certain blemishes that they want to keep in the photo, or that was the intention of their cosplay. And so if you decide to scrub those out, that may cause conflict. So you want to be clear on what stays and what goes when it comes to your editing and retouching. If somebody has a scar, I've seen both sides of the spectrum where some people say, I want that scar gone, where other people say, no, I keep the scar, right? And they may be offended, if you say, hey, do you want me to keep the scar or take that out? So make sure that you're able to communicate properly when it comes to being able to take the edits and deliver those images back to your cosplayer to make sure that you have the best images. So I hope you enjoyed.